All right, guys, we're going to be closing in on the end of the semester here, and this is the very last little mini lecture that we're going to record. We're going to talk about delivery today. We just finished talking about language last week. Delivery is the other things, the sort of nonverbal aspects, and we're going to talk about three different aspects of that. And I put them on the board here. First, audience expectations. And what I mean by that is generally, what do audiences expect? Well, they expect a confident speaker. They expect someone who is well prepared. They expect you to be conversational and not judgmental. It's not really a performance in the sense of like a play or something like that. And so the audience's expectations are going to be different. You should also go back to audience analysis. What kind of audience is it? What kind of language are they going to be wanting you to do? And how do they expect you to behave yourself during the presentation? So that's what I mean by audience expectations. Delivery methods. There are essentially four ways we deliver speeches. We do them by memory, old-fashioned recitation, where you just stand up and recite the speech, or we would do a speech where we read it. And many times politicians and kings and potentates, people like that, will read a speech, maybe off a teleprompter, if they're doing it on television, but they're wanting to give an exact wording. And maybe the circumstances of the environment, maybe the moment is very stressful. And perhaps, a more obvious example might be a funeral where you want to say exactly what you want to say and you're kind of extra nervous because of the circumstances. And then we have what's called impromptu, which is where you just get up and start talking. And there's not really any kind of preparation you can do. You just have to wing it and speak from the heart. And so that's the third area. The fourth area is what I'm doing right now. It's called extemporaneous speaking, meaning that we speak with limited notes. I'm not reading this off a teleprompter. I haven't put it to memory. I'm just talking with you. And most of the speaking that we do in our lives, in all kinds of speaking situations, is extemporaneous. I just speak from notes, and maybe a PowerPoint or maybe an outline that I've passed out to the group or something like that. So your delivery method is going to be connected to the circumstances of the speech. The final one is what we call paralanguage. And paralanguage implies a bunch of different things. Like, for example, the way you say the word. So for example, if I'm going to say thank you to someone, the tone of voice that I say it in can create subtext. And so people will decode that meaning based more on the how I say it. So for example, if I say, well, thank you, that's kind of a sarcastic tone. And so many people might decode thank you said in that way as being, a little sarcastic, a little rude. And so you have to be careful how you say the word. Your vocal variety, for example, another area. The speed with which you say it. All those kinds of factors come into play in how people respond to the information. So we got to be very conscious of the non-linguistic. That's kind of the way I like to describe this. The non-linguistic aspects of communicating with an audience. Not the language, not the words we're using, but the context around the language is what is critical in this fashion. We're going to come back and talk about the second half of delivery here in just a bit. Thanks so much.